Joining us now for a preview of tonight's discussion is Mike Leon, NTD News contributor and policy and strategy director at the Free and Equal Elections Foundation. Mike, it's good to have you. Elon Musk says this will be an entertaining, no-limits interview. What do you expect them to discuss?
Hey, Chris, good to see you first and foremost. What do I expect and what do I want are going to be two different things, Chris, right? I think what I expect are going to be a lot of the same subjects that the former president in these different interviews that he did, like at NABJ, for example, are going to be discussed, which are the assassination attempt. I can see something being done on January 6th. I can see something being done with respect to why he left Twitter and why he started Truth Social. There's going to be some stuff talked about over the course of this long interview with respect to that. What I want to see happen is Elon Musk actually ask policy questions that center around why the former president of the United States should get a second opportunity in the White House, what differs him from the Biden administration, and how he would actually execute some of these things, specifically when it comes to the things that voters here I live in Florida in this red state are asking me as if I have the answers to it, which is how do we solve the crisis at the border with respect to immigration, and how do we get the price of consumer goods down, and how do we get, housing prices costs down, the intricacies of how we do this, Chris. So that's what I want. But what I expect will be this broader conversation about the two of them that have had grievances since 2022. And now you see Donald Trump has returned back to the X platform.
Yeah, and you're mentioning these grievances. Is there anything that Musk could challenge Trump on tonight? Do you think we could see any of that at all?
Yeah, I think the biggest one and the most glaring one is obviously, climate change, right? Climate change, look, for climate scientists out there everywhere, this is for you because I live here in Miami. The sea level is rising, Chris. And whenever we have massive rainstorms, and we've seen it with irregular weather patterns, it affects us, right? And Elon Musk has been championing climate change with respect to what he's done with Tesla and with respect to other avenues of his company, right? And so I think that's the biggest thing because Donald Trump has even said himself, well, now I guess I have to be for climate change because Elon's endorsed me, right? So I think that's going to be probably the biggest contentious spot where maybe you see some nuanced conversation of like, how do we execute some of these things where we're not alienating other areas of businesses in the auto industry that are not electric vehicles, that are not powered by that, and how Elon could potentially ramp up some other things that could help with the climate overall and the Biden administration's policies on climate change as well. What would the Trump administration do differently from there? So that's probably the one place where I see some contention.
But I think it's probably safe to say we won't see Donald Trump become a climate change activist anytime soon. Now, Trump used Twitter a lot in his previous campaigns and was able to make headlines and shift news cycles with that. Was it inevitable he would return to X this year?
I mean, Chris, 1 million users a month are on Truth Social, whereas compared to X, there's about 500 million monthly users. So that just goes to show you the size of the audience that he could reach. He has 88 million followers on Twitter. So it is, so it would be inevitable for him to return to the platform and re-engage his audience on there. I think, again, this was back into the grievance politics part of this. He started Truth Social as a response because he felt like the messaging was being controlled with respect to what X was doing. Now, again, it wasn't under Elon's control. It was under, Jack Dorsey and what that company was doing. But still the same principles apply, which is why he started Truth Social, and eventually he knew he had a huge audience on these other platforms, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And so it was inevitable that he would come back to this platform. And now you saw in a hash of posts that he's already had today, different videos, different attack ads on Kamala Harris. So he's already re-engaged his audience for sure.
Yeah, I guess that 88 million reach would be pretty hard to resist, especially now. Now, Musk endorsed Trump after the assassination attempt. What does his endorsement mean for Trump as he tries to appeal to a wider segment of voters?
This is an interesting question, Chris, and we're going to find this all out, obviously, in November. But Elon Musk has not had a great track record with endorsements. If you recall, he endorsed Ron DeSantis once upon a time, and we know where Ron DeSantis is. He's my governor down here in Florida, and he's not, the Republican candidate for president. He's also done different things with Vivek Ramaswamy. He's obviously, once upon a time, talked about X being this true content platform and hiring hosts that have been cast off from other networks like Don Lemon and putting his show on there, and then he canceled Don Lemon's show. So it's interesting, like, do you want an Elon Musk endorsement? I think right now for the Trump campaign, if you're just looking at this at a 30,000-foot overview, this is going to be one of the bigger audiences that you're going to get. We're previewing it here in this segment, just goes to show you how big and important this interview is going to be. So I think for Trump, it's not really about gaining Elon's, endorsement or respect or monthly donations, which he's hoping for. It's really about being able to answer these questions. And right now, from a messaging standpoint, he's getting hammered right now on a lot of different things. And JD Vance has been better at channeling what the message of a future Trump-Vance administration would be, as we saw recently with his interviews on the Sunday show. So I think right now for Trump, be laser focused, answer the question specifically of how it works for the American people, and forget about the other things that have happened over the last couple of years with their relationship.
All right, yeah, a lot to watch out for tonight. We'll definitely be tuning into that at 8 p.m. Mike Leon, NTD News contributor and policy and strategy director at the Free and Equal Elections Foundation. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Chris.